Item number 5, Nuneaton Roof Truss Limited.
This application is for a containerised biomass boiler facility incorporating 3 biomass boilers, 3 flue stacks, 2 fuel stores and plant room at Unit 2 Weddington Terrace. The existing building is a large industrial unit. The proposed development will be located at the rear of the main building in the service yard. Weddington Terrace is an employment site with a mix of B-use classes and D-use classes. The boundary of the site is mostly made up of high-density shrubbery and 2-metre high metal fencing. There have been 5 objections, 5 addresses, and 3 objections with no addresses provided. Notwithstanding a number of objections, this application is being reported to committee at the request of Councillor Kundaga. The key issues in determining this application are the environmental impacts, the impact on residential immunity, and the impact on visual immunity. Paragraph 154 of the National Planning Policy Framework states that when determining planning applications on renewable and low carbon development, local planning authorities should approve the application if its impacts are or can be made acceptable. Additionally, policy BE2 of the Borough Plan, renewable and low carbon energy, refers to renewable and low carbon energy. It states that schemes which introduce renewable and low carbon technologies, such as biomass, will be approved, The proposal seeks to use a waste product from the on-site manufacturing process of roof trusses to be used as biomass fuel to heat the premises, which in turn would help sustain and grow the existing business and offer a more sustainable alternative to non-renewable sources of energy. Environmental health officers were consulted and have assessed the applicant's air quality impact assessment. Environmental officers agree with the assessment's conclusion that the increase in nitrous dioxide and particulates and carbon monoxide from the 3 biomass boilers will be low and can be screened as insignificant at local sensitive receptors. Furthermore, the assessment is in accordance with the guidance provided by the Environmental Agency, and environmental officers also agree that there will be negligible air pollution impacts from nitrous oxide and particulates at nearby residential properties, and any associated risk to human health will be similarly low, subject to meeting conditions in relation to the Clean Air Act 1993. It is therefore considered that the proposed condition will make the proposal acceptable and is in accordance with paragraph 154 of the PPF and policy BE2 of the Borough Plan. With regards to residential amenity, the closest residential properties to the proposal are located over 150 metres away. Therefore, there will be no impact on any residential properties in relation to loss of privacy, light, or having an oppressive sense of enclosure. With regards to visual amenity, with the exception of the fuel stacks, the majority of the buildings are to be located to the rear of the existing industrial units and will not be exposed to public views. The stacks are proposed to be 12 metres in height, roughly a similar height to a 3-storey house. Therefore, whilst the stacks may be visible from Weddington Terrace and Weddington Road, they will not be detrimental to the street scene. Moreover, the proposal is located in an industrial setting, often associated with having a less sensitive visual impression and a low visual community landscapes. As such, it is considered that the proposal is in accordance with policy B3 of the local plan and section 8 of the residential design guide. The NPPF and policy DS1 of the Borough Plan promote a presumption in favour of sustainable development. As such, decisions should be made in line with an up-to-date development plan unless material considerations indicate otherwise. The Borough Plan has recently been adopted and is therefore up to date. Furthermore, the applicant has demonstrated that there will be no detrimental impact to human health and environmental visual amenity to the street scene. For these reasons, it is recommended to committee to approve the application subject to conditions on the agenda and addendum. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Councillor Condicle.
Thank you. I hope Darren's got a picture of the air pollution, which was documents 11 and 12. There was a detailed map which was only given to me an hour ago. I actually saw it on Friday. It was produced on the 12th of June and kept secret to me. This map shows the pollution fallout, and what Darren says about impact on residential locations doesn't apply to the industrial site right underneath the stack, where we have Nuneaton Gymnastics Club, and we also on the corner have Second Chance Furniture, which is now the hospice shop. I really ask we actually do a site visit to the site and actually also take along the air pollution map, because that's really key to see which areas are in the red line where the pollution is actually really significant. This is an industrial unit. The power of these heating units is 500 kilowatts. That's the same as 500 one-bar electric fires. We have no problem with people using biomass sensibly. Having one biomass boiler would provide more than enough heat for a well-insulated industrial unit. Instead, this firm seems to be gaming the renewable heat incentive by installing 3 biomass burners and burning 3 tonnes of wood a day in what is a very sensitive area. This is actually very low lying by the river anchor. It's lower than the railway station. If you're on platform 5 and 6 of the railway station, you're well above the level of the industrial estate. You'll just see these stacks rising up, and you will get, if you're on platforms 4 and 5, the pollution coming across. There is an issue with this, and the environmental health officer has not given me these maps until this weekend, and we also have an issue with site 6. If you read the environmental documents, there's receptors, how much pollution is at each site, and it misses out site 6. If you look at it, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Site 6 is Nuneaton Gymnastics, and I do not think we should approve this application until we've actually gone through this pollution data and asked the applicant how much pollution is at Nuneaton Gymnastics, at the front door. If you look at the pollution maps as well, you see they contour around the buildings. Actually, the buildings are actually presenting a barrier to the pollution going up the stack and down into the industrial estate. We need it properly modelled, and we actually need some care taken, because there's an awful lot wrong with this. I can't discuss it in 3 minutes. There's a PM 2.5 issue. Yeah, we have 3 tonnes of wood being burnt rather than 1 tonne. If we had 1 tonne of wood being burnt, it produces a certain impact. 3 tonnes is well over the top for an enclosed area, very low lying, and the modelling doesn't take account of all the height gain. If you look at Weddington, you go up the Weddington Road where my residents live, they're higher than this site. So if the wind's blowing from the southwest, it will blow it onto my residents, and when the wind's blowing the other way, it will blow this pollution across the platforms of Nuneaton Station. Thank you.
Are there any points of clarification? Michelle Condicle.
Thank you. I'm very concerned that in the report it says BET2. This policy states that schemes to introduce renewable and low carbon technologies such as biomass will be approved. You can't just have a blanket, we will approve these things. They need to be in the right places and doing the right things. We are in a climate emergency. I think that's been acknowledged. We haven't had a motion actually here at this council, but all the surrounding councils have, and I don't think anyone's denying it now. So it makes it even more imperative that we evaluate these types of application fully. We haven't got enough information here. It's unknown the balance between what's happening now and what happens with the biomass burner. What happens to the ash? What currently, any of the spare wood chips and things, what is happening to those? Are they being burnt? Are they being chipped? Where are they going? Keith's already alluded to the fact of, that it's huge. It's far more than seems to be necessary to heat this area. In terms of the assessments from the environmental health officer saying it's okay, well, in early applications on Western Hall, the committee said that the environmental health people had got it wrong, and I believe they've got it wrong on this one. The air quality assessment itself says that there will be a moderate impact on air quality within the site boundary, and that cannot be acceptable for workers at the premises. There's not much open space in that area for it to just disperse. Things go up the chimney, but they will have to come down somewhere. And that is in areas like the Old Hinkley Road, which has massive amount of traffic and increasing amount of traffic, and where the pollution is already at a very, very dubious level, what have you. The NPPF paragraph 120 says, to prevent unacceptable risks from pollution and land instability, planning policies and decisions should ensure that new development is appropriate for its location. I'm not sure we've seen enough evidence that it is. It may be, but we haven't got enough information to do that. And the effects, including cumulative effects of pollution on health, the natural environment or general amenity, should be taken into account. And I don't believe that the cumulative impacts of pollution on health in this area have been taken into account, and they will be too great on this proposed development. The site's close to the AQMA, which having more and more traffic coming, it doesn't seem to have any account of the raised platforms at the railway station, which are going to be very close and at not dissimilar level things. So there are a lot of issues that I don't think we know enough about to actually say yes, this is a good thing. As I say, if it was smaller and we had more information, then maybe yes. But are these going to be second-hand boilers? Are they going to be clean?
Thank you, Mrs. Caldicott. Are there any points of clarification? No. Mrs. Pollen.
Hello. I live in the area and have a very real concern about the impact of 3 biomass burners that will have on the environment. It's argued that these developments should be approved as they generate energy, reduce the need for transport, but I would argue differently. First of all, the construction of 3 burners seems excessive. It could be the burners, the business could extend for others to fully use the facility. If so, it would have a detrimental impact on the traffic, on the noise, on the environment, as we heard, as well as on other businesses, residents. And although the environmental report also states that it will only have a small impact on the legal air pollution limit, legal air pollution limit is relative and it's already getting very high. I believe that the underlying continuous noise will be detrimental to us, specifically as the working hours are not defined. My own son works from till 11 p.m. and all weekends, so that's not been defined either. Nowhere has the problem seen about the ash from the burning of the wood. It's not been fully investigated. Where would it be stored? What would prevent it from going into the air? Where would it be removed to? Where would it be disposed of? I think these are quite important if you're going to put an industrial thing in a very small area. It would affect business users and the rail station, and it's not a good advert for our city, our town, Nuneaton. And could I ask if there's been any alternative methods that they've looked into that could increase their own revenue, such as making the wood chippings into something else? In conclusion, I have a problem with 3 biomass burners. One could be understandable if they're not going to use their offcuts for reusable products. The air and noise pollution will increase if they increase their business to other people. Transport is not going to be decreased. It will get worse because other people will be coming in and out and they have to get rid of the ash, etc. And I'm not sure whether anybody's visited the site to see the impact that it could have on the station and on people in the area. That's much as my little gavel can do. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Excuse me. Are there any points of clarification? No. Tom Coates.
Good evening, councillors. The biomass boiler facility will be located on an existing site within an industrial estate. The facility will heat the existing factory on the application site, which will contribute towards cost savings and improving the overall efficiency of the business. The development as proposed is supported by national planning policy, in that cost savings and improvements in the efficiency of the business will help to meet the aspirations of the business model and secure approximately 35 local jobs. The biomass boiler facility will make use of wood chip, which would otherwise be transported off-site. The development will offer an alternative to the use of oil, gas or electric in more conventional heating systems. There is currently no heating within the factory. National planning policy directs the planning system to support the transition to a low-carbon future in a changing climate, which includes low-carbon energy and associated infrastructure. The development will be functional and fit for purpose. Whilst not innovative in design terms, the choice and type of materials proposed will reflect and reinforce the existing industrial estate within Nuneaton. The Council's planning policy team raised no objection to the planning application. The applicant appointed a technical expert with over 30 years' experience in relation to air quality, and the planning application is supported by a comprehensive air quality assessment. The results of the assessment conclude that there will be no unacceptable adverse impacts on air quality as a result of the development, which includes impacts upon local sensitive receptors, nearby residential properties, ecological habitats, and on the nearby air quality management area. The Council's Environmental Health Officer agrees with the conclusions reached by the applicant's air quality consultant and raises no objection to the development. In conclusion, the development is fully compliant with the development plan and with national planning policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other points of clarification? No? Darren, anything's coming back on? In which case, to enable debate to take place, can I move the recommendation, which is to grant planning permission subject to a legal agreement and the conditions printed? Is that seconded? Thank you. Any member? Councillor Trollins.
Thank you, Chair. If we can start off by getting all of our paperwork absolutely correct and in order. This is shown as planning application, item number 50362880, WE, Weddington. I believe it's St Nicholas.
That have a board map on it. That's automatically generated from our links to the
All right.
RPG mapping system that we use.
From what I was given on the last map and what it says on the internet, it's supposed to be St Nicholas, but
It's difficult because there aren't any residential properties down
yeah,
there.
the residential aren't, but that bit is apparently in my ward. So I think we need to obviously make sure it, otherwise we could be challenged whichever way the committee decides. I do appreciate, obviously, Councillor Condor appears as ward councillor pretty much wherever these applications are, but I do think we need to be correct on these things. I would like to go out and see for myself and have it explained to me these 6-7 air quality sensors and what the readings would be for each in that area, because I am mindful that there is an awful lot of children that go to the gymnastics school there. Young children, and I wouldn't want to think that while they are in there, there's air conditioning that's sucking in all sorts of pollution from outside or whatever. Now, hopefully we can all be satisfied that it is safe and for the workers, and it's not just a question that it's within legal maximums, but actually there isn't anything really material difference or detriment that's being caused, especially to children. That does worry me considerably. So I would like to ask if we could have a site visit to go out there and be walked through the air quality issue with the appropriate officer from environmental health, with the maps that apparently they've got, and 6 or 7 sensors that we used for modelling that have been referred to this evening. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Watkins.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I will be supporting this application for a number of reasons, really. One is, I do think it's actually an innovative idea, and it's good to see people investing within the borough with such innovative ideas. The nearest residential is 150 metres away. It's reducing fossil fuels usage. The transport for taking the waste wood away is obviously going to be less. If you're burning 3 tonne of wood into ashes, then obviously the transport to take any ashes away is going to be a lot less than taking 3 tonne of wood away. So there's a lot of things speaking for this. I do accept that there may be something in the air quality, and perhaps could put a condition on planting some more trees or something to offset that. But Warwickshire County Council should be monitoring any air quality issues they have. That's not for this borough to take into account. So if Council Concord thinks there's an air quality problem there, perhaps he could use some of his delegated money to put an assessment in there. So I will be speaking in favour of, well, I am speaking in favour of this, and it's good to see somebody investing within this borough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member? Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chair. I think the issue on this is there's been a couple of issues raised about ash. Well, ash will be taken away from the site, presumably, and it will probably be utilised in what the other burners or the other incinerators around the area use, and that's to go into road materials as a rule. The one at the A5 is pronounced for that, I forget, we haven't had a look, and it's very good. And the one at the A5 actually puts about 3 grams of pollutants into the air per burn, which is tremendous. It's absolutely incredible. They're trying to reduce that as well. In this case, a lot of people are actually using wood burners in their own homes. There's a guy just down the road from me, and it stinks something terrible. I don't know what it burns on it, but it stinks something terrible when it comes out of the chimney. I did think about reporting it into environmental health, but he's bigger than me, so I don't want to upset him too much. But the issues around all that, there's no restrictions on those, and this is just a bigger version of what the household, the residential ones are. And they are supposed to be controlled. You're only supposed to burn particular types of timber, but I don't think anybody takes any notice of that. And next door, he still gets his coal supply, so he's burning the stuff as well. So the whole thing, I think, can be of benefit to the area. And if environmental health have got no problems with it, I certainly haven't got any problems with it, because I'm not that much of an expert on that. And I'm happy to take their word for it. And the issue, I think, can be settled tonight without a site visit. It would be the visual impact, I suppose, that would be questionable. But even that is not raised its ugly head too much. I think the objections come from birding. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's the way forward. I don't think we've got much choice now. We're going to have to burn stuff and get heat from it and create electricity. Like I say, the one at the A5 puts 39 megawatts to the grid all the time. So that's a tremendous thing. And I think rather than landfill, and I'm embarrassed about Judkins, I'm leaving a really, really bad environmental health risk for my kids and grandkids. It's really discussed in the league and it's still coming out of it. So I'd rather see it go up the chimney, provided it's safe and controlled like these things are. And I think enough work's been done on this with regard to the emissions to make it perfectly acceptable.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to Councillor London has said, as a layperson, I don't have the technical knowledge on about the emissions suggested, similar to about the air quality in the area. And I know they're often challenged, and quite rightly so, but I rely on the knowledge of the officers that we employ, and indeed other experts that lend themselves to that. This on paper at least appeared to me quite a radical way of dealing with a way of disposing of waste produced by something. And I can see the benefits to it, and I would like to think that modern technology would help scrub this stuff out. As has been said, the ash and stuff will be disposed in a responsible manner. However, I am conscious that there is concern in that area about air quality. In fact, we've cleaned it up really because of that old site going and the new Audi being put on there, which took away the previous problems there. There's contention about the air quality with the traffic. And to that event, I'd like to add, if the committee agree to it, a further condition. And that condition would be that no materials to be used other than produced on site. And I say that deliberately because the agent's telling us that it's going to reduce that stuff that used to have to be taken away. What we don't want is, if they're not producing enough stuff to burn, for them to start bringing stuff in. I hope that seems logical, people. And does anybody object to that condition being added? No. Would it be an acceptable condition to be added? Okay. So with that additional condition, the recommendation which has been moved and seconded is to grant planning permission subject to a legal agreement and the conditions printed. All those in...
Sorry, it's just the conditions.
Right. Scrub the legal agreement. I'm told that's not...
on the agenda, sorry.
Right, okay. Right, it's recommended to grant planning permission with the conditions printed and the additional one. All those in favour of that? And against? And abstentions?
That's carried.
Okay, thank you very much. That's approved. We can move on to item number 6, the land between 10 and 12 Roxburgh Road.